athlete Upali Wijewardana born to the wealthy family from Kelaniya. His father was Don Walter Wijewardana and he died when Upali was 18 months old. Upali was brought by his mother Amla Kalyanavati Wijewardana to the family home Sedawatawalavu. He had two sisters. Upali first started his career as a training manager in Lever Brothers in Company, which is a famous company called Unilever nowadays. Beginning, the fledgling company only sold boiled sweets. As it grew, however, the firm ventured into making toffees and the Delta Toffee brand was born. With the fire of ambition burning in his belly, Upali tried his hand at assembling clocks, radios and TVs under Unique, a brand which he created for the purpose. Flush with cash, he set his eyes on conquering the automobile industry. In 1969, Upali set out to assemble Mazda cars in Sri Lanka as Upali Fiat. Late 60s and early 70s, Upali began to tend to yet another company. It was a company called Ceylon Chocolates and it made and sold chocolates. Upali ended up owning a cocoa plantation in Malaysia, a futures trading firm in New York and some other businesses' interest in Singapore. Upon the death of his uncle, Senator Sarath Vijayasinghe, Upali took over the firm in the early 70s. Pre-takeover, the company's performance was by no means spectacular, and it sold its products under the Candos brand name. In 1981, Upali Newspapers was established, and with it, the Island and Divina newspapers began their first print run. He later went on to acquire a couple of private jets and at least one helicopter, cementing his reputation as the most flamboyant Sri Lankan of that era. Upali started a business in soap industry and Crystal, Sikudu and Dingle, some of soap brands he created. Despite his success within the country, Upali felt stifled by the socialist policies of the government and decided to venture abroad. He was the perfect person to bring foreign investors to the country. Recognizing this, his uncle, the late President Wijewardana, appointed him as the head of the BOI. Upali was enough of a visionary to realize that Sri Lanka needed to become much more than an apparel exporter, and managed to convince 5 semiconductor manufacturers to invest in the country and live in the country in search of better investment destinations. The Upali Group grew to such an extent that its peak it employed around 33,000 people worldwide. Upali Wijewardana was a man of many parts. He was the chief Basnayaka Nilame of the Rajamaha Vihara Kelaniya. By 1983, he started dealing with countries like Malaysia and Singapore in large scale. As his hobbies, he loved to play golf, riding horses, sports cars, planes and jets. He became the richest person in Sri Lanka in 70th decade. In the end of 70th decade, Upali became the richest person in South Asia. With the passage of time, however, Upali's business empire started to show the first signs of trouble. Towards the late 70s and early 80s, the Upali group's financial situation deteriorated. The purchase of Upali's infamous Learjet is said to have strained the group's finances even further. On February 13, 1983, Sri Lanka woke up to the news of Upali's mysterious disappearance. While returning to Colombo from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Wijewardana and 5 others disappeared in his private Learjet over the Straits of Malacca, leaving no trace of the wreckage of survivors. Legally, Upali Wijewardana is presumed dead now, though his body was never discovered. The disappearance of Upali Wijewardana continues to linger in the collective memory of the nation as an unresolved mystery.